Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes, but I'm going to ask everybody to take a quick time out from breakfast and stand up out of your seats right now. So would everybody just hop up real quick? Love the hopping. That's awesome. Very good. And I'd like you to introduce yourself to no fewer than 5 people, but no more than 10, and just share people what department you're in, how long you've been at UT, and one word to describe yourself this morning, okay? So how long you've been at UT, name, department, and one word to describe yourself. On your mark, get set, and go. 5 people minimum. Hi, I know you. One word to describe yourself. That's 2 words. You know what's particularly fun about doing this morning is all the people that wanted to meet the IT people. As soon as they find out that somebody's an IT person, they go, oh, it is so good to meet you. We are so thankful to have you here. Good morning. My name is Clint Longnecker. I'm a professor in the business school and a longtime friend and faculty member. And I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of MC this event this morning. We're really privileged to have a great group of people, and this morning is really to celebrate people who are lifelong learners. And this morning we are very, very fortunate to be surrounded by a whole room full of people who are interested in continuing to develop themselves. We were talking earlier what a neat room this is, and I don't know how many people have been in this space before, but a lot of really neat things have gone on. And over the years, I've been to a number of retreats and board meetings and all different kinds of things. I would describe this. In this room, lots of learning has taken place since it was in place, so it's really a great place to be here. In fact, I can tell you, a local company, the CEO of a local company, right about where Allison is sitting right there, looked at all the flip charts that were plastered all over the wall and said this, you know, we are going to not do this and we're going to do this. And the thing that he identified turned out to be a big time winner and was probably turned into opportunities for about 100 people to pick up jobs because of the decision that was made right where Allison is sitting this morning. This room is a great place, and here's what's cool. We're part of an academic institution. And I don't know about you, but sometimes it can kind of become like ordinary. Like, well, I'm just worried about going to work. Where do you work? I work at UT. But here's the thing. What we do as an institution is noble work because we're in the business of transforming people's lives. And you'd say, well, I'm just an IT pro. Oh, stop. Without you, we don't get our job done. Well, I'm over here just in accounts payable and doing it. Stop. Without you, we don't make things happen. And I have yet to meet an unimportant person at the University of Toledo in my 30 years here, to be honest with you. So let's start by giving all of us, ourselves, a round of applause for doing good work. So we're going to get started. As an MC for this morning's program, my #1 responsibility is not to be funny, because that would be hard to do. My wife would tell you that. It would be to keep things moving ahead. So I'd like to introduce a very important person, a newcomer to the University of Toledo. And Jovita, we're really excited to have you here. Jovita Thomas-Williams is a longtime HR leader. She has international, national experience and has done some really, really cool things. On May 26th, she became our new Assistant Vice President for Human Resources. And we're so very, very thankful to have her here this morning so she could meet a room full of awesome people. So I thought it would be appropriate if we would slow clap her in this morning, okay? Like you do in the hockey. Ready?
for me to be able to help an organization as impressive as University of Toledo and Medical Center move ahead in an environment of learning is just a dream come true for me. So thank you all for embracing me and coming here. This is probably the highlight I would think is going to be a highlight of my career, because this is where I long to be in my entire professional career. So thank you very much. On behalf of David Morlock and I, we wanted to congratulate all of you for your commitment to your professional development. And as a certificate owner myself, or recipient myself, through the years, I know the level of commitment that you had to make both personally and professionally. So you are to be commended for taking the time to continuously invest in your development. So don't take it lightly. As one person said to me, when you stop learning, when you know you stop learning, you die. So we're on a journey to continuously improving ourselves, learning, developing, and you are to be commended, congratulated. The organization is very, very interested in the professional development arena. We're going to be doing things in talent management on the HR side to assist you in this regard. But today is about you, so celebrate your achievement and really my heartfelt congratulations.
We are very appreciative for the opportunity to work with you in the future. We're really excited to have you here. I would be remiss if I didn't give a big shout out and a big thank you to Carrie, our leader for the Office of Quality and Continuous Learning. Carrie, let's give it up for her. I promised Ella Curtis that I would not bring her name this morning to give her praise, so I'm not going to do that. Because she's pretty shy about these things. So without further ado, so many people have done good work here. I would be remiss if we didn't say we are surrounded by lots and lots of good people this morning. So here's our agenda. We have a great speaker this morning, Dr. Dan Johnson, who a former president emeritus at the University of Toledo, is going to come and share some thoughts. We're then going to make this about you, and we'll pass out some certificates. And here, the one thing that you're going to do differently because of the educational experiences you've had this morning. We've got a lot of talent in this room, and I really appreciate Dr. Johnson. I remember meeting him in 2001 when he took over the helm of our institution. He was a difference maker. He was a person who came in and brought great calm to our institution. He's a visionary guy. I appreciate the fact that he's a leader and a scholar, which is not always necessarily combined. But I really, really appreciate the fact that he is so committed to our region, to our city, and to our university. And we're very excited to hear. And the title of the speech this morning is UT's Got Talent, Leverage It. So I think we should slow clap him. What do you think? Should we? Good to have you.
Thanks, Clint. He does exaggerate quite a bit, doesn't he? Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a great privilege for me to be here. I think this is maybe the second time I've had the opportunity to do this. I see a lot of friends and folks around the room that I've known for a number of years. Thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of this. How many of you have heard of the TV series America's Got Talent? Yeah, everybody in the room has heard about it. How many of you have ever watched it? Oh, almost everybody. Well, these talent programs, as you know, have popped up on television stations all over the world. Britain's Got Talent, Canada's Got Talent, Saudi Arabia's Got Talent. Seems that every country's got talent. So for the next few minutes, I'd like to talk about talent and why it's so important. I'd also like to share some thoughts about making the most of talent for the university and for yourself. So the question is this: how does an organization, how does an institution, how does a university leverage its talent to get the most out of this investment? Of course, the operative word here is leverage. Last Sunday afternoon, I was reading a book that's been laying on my stack for some time on the subject of competition. The author, Margaret Heffernan, wrote something that captured my attention and caused me to think about it a bit. And here's what she said: there is more talent in ordinary places than most people ever imagine or see. I thought, wow, that kind of grabbed me. Not only do I agree with this statement, I really do like it, and I'm going to use it again. But I know it's true. There is incredible talent in ordinary places. I saw this talent in literally hundreds of college and university courses I taught over a 50-year period. I saw it in the shy student that sits on the back row. I saw it in the older student trying to finish her degree while working full-time and managing her family and children. I saw it in the student hippies back in the 60s and 70s, and what a group that was. And I saw it in the Hispanic students, the African-American students, in our poor students, and in the not-so-poor students, in white students, students from every nationality, every country. I've seen talent in these classrooms. I've seen incredible world-class talent among our faculty members in the universities where I've been privileged to work. Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond. Richmond is in the news today, isn't it? University of North Texas, University of Alaska, Zayed University in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and here, of course, at the University of Toledo. And because I'm a little biased, I think especially here at the University of Toledo. I've also seen incredible talent, literally world-class talent among the people who actually make a university work and function, and that's the staff. These are people who operate, you are the people who operate these complex systems that make teaching, research, and learning possible for thousands of students and hundreds of faculty members. There are 1,000 different jobs required to run a university, and each of these jobs requires talent. I've always felt privileged, maybe a better word is blessed, to work with such talented people. True, we kind of expect to find talent on college and university campuses. It's no secret that our universities generally are places where we find enormous concentrations of talent, talented students, talented faculty, and clearly talented members of the staff. So that's one of the reasons universities are so important to our communities and to our country, to our cities and to our regions, to our state. The universities are the reservoirs of talent that our communities and our country depend on. That's the reason UT is such an important institution. We know, for example, that UT literally is the largest reservoir of talent for Toledo in Northwest Ohio. Think of it. We also contribute to the talent pool of our state, of our nation, and literally of the world. Look around at all the international students that we have on our campus, just as an example. So UT's got talent. We have talent in what we consider ordinary places here at UT. Being a reservoir of great talent, however, is not protection against great problems. Our nation's greatest concentrations of talent are public universities, are institutions that are literally sustaining some of the nation's greatest challenges and problems. Having talent does not immunize our universities against these challenges and problems. Our nation's public universities are going through one of the most troubled periods in the history of higher education, and you know that because you're on the front lines. Many describe this period in higher education as a crisis, or some have even used the phrase perfect storm. The phrase perfect storm has become a part of our lexicon, it's become a part of our language, part of our culture, and it's frequently used to describe problems of an extraordinary scale and scope. A perfect storm is one in which there is a convergence of several storms coming together to create a mega storm or even a meta storm. I'm a little reluctant personally to use the phrase perfect storm to describe the problems of public higher education today, but it is a phrase that's used by some. However, if the challenges and problems of public higher education are not quite a perfect storm today, it's not difficult to see it forming. Every university president, every provost, every vice president, every dean, every higher education policymaker can see it on the horizon. Even the President of the United States sees it coming. We all know the challenges and problems of our public universities, particularly here in Ohio. Our concern is that these challenges and problems appear to be growing and even converging. There are at least 3 major storms on the horizon that we really have to understand and somehow resolve. One storm on the horizon is the way we currently deliver higher education. And while I may be in the minority on this, I believe the jury is still out on the big questions related to the meaning of academic credit. What is it? How do we measure it? What is the best way to deliver credit? And how should we package it to offer a university major in physics or engineering, medicine, English, sociology, the humanities? The problem we have to solve is determining the appropriate and most effective role of technology in providing a university degree. For some critics, the university campus is too big, it's too expensive, it's too inconvenient, and pedagogically obsolete. Technology, they argue, is the answer. Where we ultimately come down on this question will, in large measure, I believe, determine the future of higher education. The second storm I see on the horizon is the way we currently fund higher education. As you may know, Ohio is among the highest tuition states in the nation. And that is because it is also one of the more poorly funded university systems in the country. There are many metrics that show how poorly public higher education is funded, particularly here in Ohio. Let me just give you one metric, and there are many metrics out there that would validate this. But per capita funding, the national average for per capita funding for higher education is $141. That is $141 for every man, woman, and child goes into higher education. That's the national average. Per capita funding for higher education in Ohio is a very low $81 per capita. We can do much better than this. Ohio must do better than this. And in my opinion, it's past time for reform on the way we fund and the amounts we allocate for higher education. The third storm is closely tied to the second, and that is the high cost of tuition and its implications, not only for our students, but for our economy and for our society. The high cost of tuition is the direct consequence of inadequate funding for our universities. For the past 20 plus years or longer, state legislators and governors have been shifting an ever larger proportion of the cost of higher education from the state and from the public to the students themselves and their families. Each year for at least the past 2 decades, we've been told to do more with less. The net result is the growing burden of debt that our students now carry, more than $1 trillion, an amount greater than the total credit card debt in this whole country. Think of it. The nation, and particularly Ohio, must address this tuition storm, I think, before it's too late. It's already too late for some. Students routinely leave the University of Toledo with $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of loans to repay. Some of our graduate students and our professional students graduate with debts exceeding $100,000. I know some of them personally, and I've talked to them about this. Their monthly payments are $800, $900, $1,000 a month or more on these student loans. As a result of their debt from student loans, They can't buy cars when they graduate. They can't buy houses. They can't buy furniture. They can't buy appliances. They can't take vacations. And all of the things that fuel our economy. Many even defer marriages. Many defer having families and moving ahead with their lives because of this humongous debt that they carry. The implications of the high cost of tuition are not only real for students, they are real for our economy, and they're ultimately real for our society as a whole. This is a very, very serious issue in Ohio, and it's even a serious issue here at the University of Toledo. So what can we do about this? Just one person, but what can we do about this? I believe that this is where we draw on our talent. But having said that, I'm not sure that talent alone will get us through these storms, because as we know, everybody's got talent. I know, in fact, that talent alone is not going to be enough. However, I also know that if we leverage our talent, this pool of talent we collectively possess here at UT, and in our universities generally, we can successfully navigate our way through this storm. So how do we leverage our talent, the talent in our universities and our talent here at the University of Toledo? I'd like to offer just a few suggestions on how we can do this. My dad was a young man back in the 1930s living on a small family farm down in Athens County, Ohio, the southern part of the state. He joined what President Franklin Roosevelt called the 3 C's, or the Civilian Conservation Corps. Some of you may have heard about that. Well, I'd like to borrow President Roosevelt's acronym, the 3 C's, to describe what I think are the best tools for leveraging our talent. The first of these 3 C's is communication. Communication is the lifeblood of any organization, especially universities. It has to be top-down, bottom-up, horizontal, interdepartmental, intercollegiate, and interinstitutional. The problem is we are still an institution of silos, and these silos drastically limit our effectiveness. Information, as you know, is power, and we need to learn how to share information and share power if we want to truly leverage our talent. Communication. The second of the 3 C's is coordination. When you have effective communication, you're in a much better position to coordinate your activities, your projects, and your programs. Let me cite just one example, and Dean Gutteridge knows about this in great detail. When I returned from Dubai, Dr. Jacobs asked me to lead the development of a global strategy for the university, and I was very pleased he asked me, because I knew, as did so many others, that we really need such a strategy. The University of Toledo has global interests, and these interests are scattered across the whole university. We have people traveling internationally nearly every day to some country from the University of Toledo. But we have no system for knowing who's traveling where, when, or why. Think about that. If we had a system for knowing and communicating who's traveling where and when, they could represent the broader interests of the university. We could align our interests and coordinate our relationships. Coordination can and will make us more efficient, more effective, and more successful. Coordination. The third tool for leveraging talent is, in my view, the most powerful of all, and that's collaboration. Person with person, department with department, college with college, and university with university. Collaboration produces a whole that is much greater than the sum of its parts. Collaboration literally changes an organization's math from where 1 + 1 = 2 to where 1 + 1 = 3 or 4. There is personal and organizational power in collaboration to accomplish things that cannot be accomplished when a single person, a single department, a single college, or a single university tries to go it alone. The truth is, every university has talent, just as UT has talent. It's how we use that talent and how we leverage that talent that determines the outcome and who succeeds. Our universities, it's no secret, are in rough waters today. It's pretty stormy out there. Just look around. And that's particularly true in Ohio. How we fare, how the university fares in these rough waters will depend on how we tap into our great pool of talent, but more importantly, how we leverage our talent through communication, through coordination, and through collaboration. This room this morning is absolutely full of talent. And my thought for you this morning is leverage this talent, leverage it, and you will be amazed at what communication, coordination, and collaboration will do for you and for your department, and most importantly for our University of Toledo. So I want to thank you for all that you do, and I want to congratulate you on your accomplishments, your continuing accomplishments, and for your talent. Have a great day.
Dr. Johnson, we're going to put everybody to a quick test now. All right, what's the first C? Communication. Hey, pretty good right there. All right, there you go. The second C? Coordination. And the third C? Collaboration. You give yourselves a round of applause. Very cool. Well, this morning, we are going to celebrate the people who worked really hard to accomplish some very specific learning objectives in some very specific areas. So our agenda is going to be pretty quick and pretty, let's sort of organized, if you would. We will call off each of the programs. We'll ask everybody to step right over here to these very, these very famous folks over here on the wall, and kind of arrange yourself in loose alphabetical order, okay? And we'll call your name. You'll come right here and you'll get your certificate, and then you will take the podium, if you would, to share that one thing you learned. And then we're going to ask you to step over here and shake the hands of the various dignitaries who are here this morning and the people who are supporting our efforts, including Dr. Johnson and others on this side. Okay, so we're going to, that's the agenda. Now, first order of business though, what a cool place to be. Thank you for your comments. And on Monday, I was meeting with a leader from a company, and he made this comment to me over breakfast. He said, I cannot get the leaders in my country to change, or in my company to change. He said, it's kind of business as usual. I think they could have used some of your remarks of the 3 C's, Dr. Johnson, to run with some of these things. But at the end of the day, aren't we fortunate to be surrounded by people who like to learn and are developing themselves to meet the changing demands that we all face as an institution? So thanks so very much for your comments. So our first group coming up this morning will be our transition to leadership role. So come on up, folks, and line up right here if you would, and let's give them a round of applause on the way up. Okay, Malika Val.
What I learned is that I can be a leader in whatever position that I hold at the university.
Well, on the spot. Well, I think the main thing that I'm taking away from the really good course that we had was a better way to organize my students' group projects. Now, I've always tried to have a nice mix of students in there, and I learned long ago that the A student's not necessarily the manager, but I didn't really have solid techniques for sorting out people and seeing who'd work together. Now I think I do. Thank you.
Well, it was a wonderful course, and through the experience I really have a broader understanding of leadership, and I've been thinking about how to integrate units on leadership for our honor students.
Very good. Ashley Quinlan. Oh, Conley, forgive me, Conley. One of my former students, Ashley Quinlan, sorry. Really? Yeah.
I learned a long time ago there was lots of talent at UT, and I was surrounded by lots of talented people in this course. and I'm going to use them to help myself grow as a leader. Thank you.
I also thought it was a great program. I learned the difference between being a boss and a leader, and I'm going to use that in my new role. And keeping in line with the amount of talent at the university, I recognize that ordinary people do extraordinary things every day. So, thank you.
The exceptional customer service graduates, come on up. And getting yourself in alphabetical order is all part of the test. Wenting Chen. Come on, Wenting, here you go.
One of the top things I learned was to go an extra mile, and I think I'm doing this on a daily basis with my students and my colleagues. Thank you.
One of the things that I picked up from this course is the contagiousness of empathy. If you can empathize with your customers, they can empathize with you, and it's just a beneficial situation all the way around.
Heather Elricky.
One thing, I really enjoyed this course. I really enjoyed Don. I thought he did a great job with everything. One thing that I've really taken from it to the classroom is kind of developing that personal relationship with my students. So I'm able to make a better connection to kind of recognize their needs a little bit better than I was able to before. So.
Hi, I also want to say that Don was great. We had a great time and we all learned a lot. One of the things I learned was how intelligent and how intelligent my group is, and how they are really going to help each other. And I always thought I had to go around putting out fires all the time, and maybe you feel that way too. But now I'm really going for Smokey the Bear and preventing fires. And I can't thank you enough.
Oh, really? Forgive me, I'm so sorry.
It was a great course, thank you. I learned how to empathize with students more and listen to their needs. So I think it makes for a greater relationship within the classroom with all of them.
Easy name. I had a great time in the course, and I wish it was longer. I learned to work with the students and do a better job of customer service prior, kind of like Dina, putting out fires, and after a problem. And I've already used that with a couple of students who were unhappy with their grades, and it worked very smoothly. I also learned positive attitude, and I'm trying to implement that.
I actually did come through this program. I really did. Yeah, the concept of internal and external customers was something I wasn't particularly familiar with, and I thought it was useful to understand that and how it relates, and also how that then allows you to better communicate with people up and down the tree as it relates to serving your own customers. That was a useful thing out of that course.
I do a lot of team building with my students, so I was really grateful to have a chance to have our team together doing team building. I think it was a great atmosphere for us to be in, so thank you. And I'll take this forward into the classroom as I continue to do those project learning activities with my students, team building. And this is going to look great next to my leadership certificate. Thanks.
I have to admit, Don was wonderful. We learned a lot, had a great time, had a fun time. initially I wasn't expecting to have a fun time. And it was a great experience. And I just continue to make sure that I have a relationship with every one of my students in my classrooms.
Sandra Stotson.
I've been with the University of Toledo about 16, 17 years, different places, the Arboretum, way out on Sylvania Avenue. And I've been at Honors, I've been with Parking Enforcement, and now the last 2 years at the American Language Institute. I think the biggest thing I enjoyed about this exercise was a couple of things. Number one, I got to know my own colleagues better. Number two, in a larger sense, I got to understand the interdepartmental issues going on. And this banquet today. We get to be able to hear the top leaders say, this is what our problems are. This is how you can help us. And you know, it's cool to know you're not by yourself. You know, so anyway, I liked it.
Hi Don. Yes, it was a wonderful course. I learned many things from this course. One of the main things this course helped me to do is become a better listener. This helped me professionally with my students and even personally in my own life. Most of the time when someone comes to you with a problem, half of the hard problem is they just want you to listen to them, to empathize and to understand them. So that through this course I really became a better listener, so thank you.
Thank you, Don. Kind of like what Emily said, we've had stressful times with the international students adjusting to a new place, right? So it's very stressful for them. And so I'd say what I got out of the program is I am quiet when a student comes and they're stressed out about something. Before I would try to, I guess, talk my way out of it, and now I just kind of keep my mouth shut. I'll tell a little joke, and I feel like I'm better able to manage the situations than I did before. Still could do better, right? But I'm getting there, and I feel like I have Don to thank for that. Thank you.
Six Sigma Green Belt graduates, please come forward. We really should give them green belts, don't you think? Dong Cheng. Congratulations.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for the instructor, Jim, and thank you for all my classmates. I really enjoyed this class, and because I learned the process, how to improve the process. Process improvement is a big thing. And I think the biggest part is the class project, because they allow me to utilize what I learned and put into the project and work on it and get a sense of how this really works. And I think I learned a lot, and I'll be able to use that in my work. Thank you.
Michael Thurston. Good job.
Good morning. I want to thank Jim as well. We had a great time in the class. We certainly learned a lot. I had a very motivated team. I appreciate their patience with me and the endless amount of scheduling and time that we had to spend together. But we had a really great time with it. I think the biggest thing that I learned was really just to tear a process apart and break it down into its basic components, and then ultimately apply some tools to that to actually measure whether or not the changes that we're proposing actually improve it or not. So that was what I got out of this. So thank you very much.
One of my all-time favorite EMBA students, Mr. George McCown.
Thank you all. What a great class. Thanks to Jim. Thanks for Carrie and Eva. I would recommend this class to everybody. If you haven't taken it yet, do. What I learned is demake everything. It's work style. Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. and it becomes really easy to get things under control with that technique. Thank you all.
Good morning. It is really a good opportunity for me to be in the program or in the class. Thank you so much, James, for including me in the class. It was a great opportunity, and I really learned a lot on how we can put we can improve the process. Using what we've learned in the classroom, we can share this one to our colleagues on how we can improve our process, our system in our unit. And I think that is what is important, sharing that knowledge to our colleagues to improve our unit. Thank you.
Backed by popular demand, a serious lifelong learner, Mr. Tim Sanderson. Let's get on.
Well, it was so hard, I decided I was going to get this twice. But, you know, I signed up for the Six Sigma, and the reason was part of the other one. I figured customer service means understanding why your bosses make the decisions they make that so often don't make any sense to you. So I went through the Six Sigma because all my bosses had. And through that process, I learned about a big part of what you said, communication. The Six Sigma, what that really taught me is there's always somebody towards the bottom of the stack that already understands the problem and the solutions, and there's a whole lot of people at the top of the stack that make the decisions that affect that. And it's getting those two people to understand each other is where the trick is. And the Six Sigma allows you to put it in language that the people at the top can understand and the people at the bottom can endorse. That's what I learned, and that's why I came back.
Six Sigma in 30 seconds. There it is, right there. It's awesome.
Good morning. And thank you, Jim, for giving us an opportunity to learn this wonderful course called Six Sigma. This is for all the programmers and for all the IT people. First, I had the biggest misconception that Six Sigma cannot be applied to a software project, but that's wrong. Six Sigma can be applied to a software project. And just little things that I learned, that just by writing down a process, you can get a bigger understanding of what you are actually doing versus what you thought you were doing. So that is my biggest learning. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, project management alums, come on up, graduates. Phoebe Bell. Is Phoebe not here? Adam Persian.
With the project management, we learned how to better document our processes for both continuing the projects and the risk management. We have used that to document our projects for our upgrades in between semesters, that way they run more smoothly as best they can.
Hello. A lot of things we covered in project management, and there's a lot of things that I use personally to help me understand better how I fit into the project and everything that's involved. So when someone comes to me, even though I may not be directly driving the project or managing it, I know where, what they're looking for when they have questions about, what's your progress and those types of things. So it helped me understand better and also embrace risk in management of projects. So you understand, that it's not bad necessarily to have a risk, it's just understanding it, then you can manage it. Thanks.
Kathleen Deagle.
I'm in information technology, and we do nothing but projects. Projects are our life, and they come from everywhere. We have really small ones and really big ones, and project management is like such a key part of it, whether it's, some of these tools we can even use on the small projects. And I completely love the project where we use sticky notes for all the tasks of the project and put it on a board, and it was just like a great picture of how it works. I really learned a lot from it. So hopefully we can get your projects done quicker.
Sam Godfrey.
Well, one of the things that I put into practice was taking a large project and breaking it down into measurable sub-projects and lists. And when you're pulled in a lot of different directions, being able to come back to that list, see where you're at, and then to be able to get moving on it again has been very useful.
Allison Haas.
So Kathy kind of stole my thunder talking about how IT is only projects. I'm a manager in the healthcare business side, so I'm on the health science campus, so it's a little bit different, but right now we have 4 projects going on that due dates are from July 1st to October 1st, and some of them are governmental driven, so we have to hit those targets. So this project management course, we got to take a real life example of one of these projects and map it all out, and we knew even before we started the project what we were up against. So it was really great to take something that we do today and know our end result even before we even started the project. So thank you.
A little short. It was a great course. I think the best thing that I took away from this particular course was the looking at all your tasks that you have to do and aligning those in the proper fashion. And a lot of times you don't know how many tasks you actually have until you align them all out. With all the sticky notes was awesome. Thank you.
Hello. It was a great course, project management and risk management. I highly recommend it to everyone because everything that we do is a project, pretty much. We picked up a great set of tools that I think are applicable to everyone's personal and professional lives. Perhaps the most important thing I came away with was the importance in any project at trying to enumerate and minimize the risks in a project. Not only that, but also to look at the opportunities in a project.
One of the things that I learned with the risk management component of the course especially was that we do risk management all the time. You're always thinking about different risks and what could happen. But the most important thing that I got out of it, I think, was that it helps to document those risks, to write them down. Even though you think you have a handle on what the risks are, writing them down allows you to see other risks and opportunities, as he said, that can help you along with the project.
One of the things I've learned from the project management course is that taking a greater investment of time at the beginning to plan and understand what you are embarking on will lead to more efficient and greater success in execution of projects, and also to enumerate and identify the risks and minimize the negative, and to identify opportunities that can be exploited for benefit.
Crash course, that's awesome. Thank you so much. The next group up is the professional human resource folks. Come on down. I think there's 2 of them. Let's slow clap. Come on down. Roberta Jordan.
First of all, I wanted to thank Joe and Linda. We had a great time in our class. The nice thing about it was, and we never talk about age in human resources, just so you know, but we had over 50 years of experience between Linda and Joe that they brought to the table for this course. So it was amazing hearing about all of the real life examples, learning how to apply them. Just the way they explained them, how engaged they were in the course, it was really wonderful. So we learned a lot. My role is a little more specialized at the university. I'm more into the accreditation and compliance piece of human resources for accreditation standards. So even though I've had the HR background, it was nice to get a refresher on the whole gamut of human resources, to relearn a lot of the things that I haven't had to apply in several years, and to think strategically about that. So this course really helped me to think about some of the other parts and how it all comes together, and will allow me to be more effective, more productive in my role. So thank you.
It's okay if y'all laugh, it's Lisa Simpson like the cartoon. So it was a great class with Joe and Linda, and a lot of the HR laws stay the same, but the interpretation changes constantly. So my role is to just continue to keep up with that and continue learning. Thanks.
Oracle graduates, come on up. Let's give them a big round of applause. Gail Bergen.
Well, I am also in IT. I think one of the things when you've been in IT as long as I have, which we're not going to talk about, it's always nice to be able to go through a class and learn things from exceptional people and see how other people will accomplish the same task and be able to learn from that and learn different ways of doing the same thing. It really broadens your horizons and makes you see things differently. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
One of the things that I had learned is to write SQL statements that help with performance and not just slapping something together to get it together.
I also work in IT, and this was my first class to help with my report writing. We get a lot of requests for reports in IT, so this helped me gain some knowledge to better perform my job.
One thing I learned from the class is most of our data we need to extract from the databases, so I learned how to write the complex queries in order to extract the data. Thank you.
One of the important part of my job is to write SQL statements, but from this course I learned few tactics which I was unknown of, and which has improved the quality of my reporting.
Hi, I also work in IT, and coming from the nursing world to IT was a huge difference, and this class actually helped give a good base in order to help improve our clinical application.
Angela Tabanero, ×2.
I also work with IT, having the opportunity being in both of these classes, Six Sigma and the Oracle, really helps me to put those things together. With the SQL, I was able to learn from the class how to extract data and use this data as well for the green belt, for analyzing the data. And for us, extracting the data means analyzing those data in the database, and this class really helps me a lot to improve what I am doing and helps with the clinical applications.
Good morning, everyone. The most important thing I learned from the class isn't just to write a SQL statement that extracts information, but it's the people that know how to do it. So now I can actually go for help if I want to. Thank you.
Sorry, everybody, we were just comparing notes. Let's give everybody in the room a warm round of applause. Well, as we wrap up, I have to tell you a personal story about learning, if you would. One of the best parts about my job is that I learn every single day. I meet remarkable people, and I meet a lot of folks who have ideas that are far greater than anything that I would ever come up with on my own. And as I look around, we have so many good people at our institution, and we have a lot of people that are empowered and inspired and encouraged right now, but I really think we have such an awesome opportunity right now with the things that are going on. People are going, what about all these leadership changes? I always look at things like this. People are moving on, people are doing other things, pursuing different opportunities, moving into different stages of their lives. What an opportunity for all of us to pull together and to work together and to make a real difference. And I listen to the comments that were made today, well, I'm going to take care of my part of the garden a little bit better. And I learned some things that I can apply to work today. And I'm going to remember that I'm going to teach other people in my work group the things that I learned. And I'm going to take care of my students and pull more people into my circle so I can influence them in a really positive way. So I think the things that were learned and shared this morning here are really quite remarkable. I did take a couple notes over here, and I really appreciate the fact that we have people in this room that are serious about their own development. So here's my quick story. I've been asked by a company, an organization in Washington called the Teaching Company, and they have a program called the Great Courses. I don't know how many people have ever heard or seen them, but I've seen a few over the years, and they really focused on stuff in the humanities and the arts and in theology, and really for really interesting and neat things far beyond my scope. But a year ago, they approached me and they asked me if I would do a course for them on leadership and organizational behavior. And what's interesting about this is they said, but here's the thing, you have to take your 30 years of academic experience in writing all these things and boil it down into 6 hours. So it really came down to writing 12 30-minute lectures, if you would, around these like leadership and continuous improvement and leading change and communication and ethics and all these sorts of things. So I have to tell you, in each lecture, and I did not know this until we got started in this process, a 30-minute lecture for somebody who speaks about my rate of speech is 4,442 words. Okay, plus or minus 100 words, either way. So the reason I bring this up and I share this with you is it's forcing me to go back and look at all the stuff over 30 years, the lessons I've learned, and the things that I have forgotten, which is quite numerous, and the things that I should have put more emphasis on, which is a pretty good list as well, and then some of the core things. And you know what I've come to the conclusion around over the last 3 weeks of serious writing? In the end, excellence. In the end, continuous improvement. In the end, career development. In the end, being a great leader. In the end, being a great team member. And in the end, serving a higher purpose always focuses on the fundamentals. So as our world becomes more complex and more dynamic and more ever-changing and more rapidly paced, it's really important that we slow down, take stock in what we're doing, and practice the fundamentals more so than we ever have at any point in our career. So it's kind of counterintuitive thinking. One would say, well, as things get more complex, I need to become more complex. No, I think as things become more complex, we need to become more focused and go back to the basics that have gotten us to where we are today, but more importantly, the basics that'll move us forward to get us to the next level of where we're headed. So on behalf of the Office of Quality and Continuous Learning, we count it a real privilege to be able to offer you programs. I think we'd ask all the faculty members to stand up right now who have given a lot of energy. All faculty members hop up out of their seats. Everybody up. Let's people who have been teaching in the program. Let's give the teachers. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. The faculty members are jumping. Sorry. The program faculty members. Jim, hop up. Yeah, program faculty. They're here. Let's get it. I just want to close with this thought. Encourage the people that you work with and the people that you have contact with every day, your coworkers, to take advantage of these awesome learning opportunities. And go back to work and be a mentor and always have a mentor, if you would, in your own development goals along the way. Last but not least, we want to give Bob Sherbilly a big round of applause, who's been working in HR, and he's stepping out of that role. He's been our interim HR leader for the past 18 months. Is it 18 months already? Plus or minus a couple. So would you stand up real quick and let's give him a big round of applause. So thank you so very, very much. And in the words of Thoreau, this time, like all time, is a great time if we know what to do with it. And I think that we all in this room have a better idea what to do with it now than we did before we came this morning. So thank you so very, very much. Now, last announcement, Carrie Herr would like everybody, and we're meeting in the hallway, for a massive team photograph of all of our graduates, which I think is terrific. So we appreciate much. Also, Don Reiber, behind the scenes, the king of all things digitally captured at the University of Toledo. There was a time when we used to say filmed, and then there was a time we used to say tape, but now he is the master of digitally capturing images right now. Let's give it up for Don. Also, last point, Zinc and our servers today, our host this morning was Zinc and Cordelia. Please say thanks for their good work today, because they did a nice job. So without further ado, Carrie.
We're going to gather by groups on the steps outside, transition to leadership first, and we'll go in the order in which we received, along with the instructor, if the instructor is here.
Thanks, everybody. In the words of Mark Meyer, go